Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Hart. Today I'll be breaking down this showdown slate here on DraftKings, going through my favorite early look core plays for the captain spot, as well as the utility plays, kind of some strategies to get different, all that stuff in this video. So make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. If we get to 50 likes, that'd be huge. Do really appreciate all the support. And I also do apologize for the audio quality. It's not going to be as great as usual just because I am traveling. So just using the computer mic, and there is no face camera right now. So we'll get back to normal for the start of the finals. Hopefully, this is the only game that we had to cover until the finals. Sorry to any Boston fans. I do like Boston, but it would just be easier. And it would be nice to see Jimmy hopefully get a chance to win a ring, or Jokic. So yeah, going to be breaking this down. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get into this breakdown. So before I get into the breakdown, I just want to say follow me on Twitter at HeartDFS. Answer any questions you guys have. Put up all my DFS content up there, as well as, got some replies going that are gaining a lot of traction. Check those out. Got some funny tweets for you guys to check out. But yeah, a recap of my lineup from the previous game, game 4. Hit 4 out of 6 optimal plays. So one is Tatum at captain, Jimmy, Brogdon, Kyle Lowry, Gabe Vincent, and Peyton Pritchard. Did the 1K strategy where you play a guy who's minimum priced, who will most likely get you a 0, but it allows you to pay up for some pretty solid players. But yeah, 4 out of 6 of the optimal plays, I had I had Tatum in the right spot. Tatum was the optimal captain. Jimmy was the optimal play there in the utility. And then Lowry and Vincent were also the optimal plays there in utility. Unfortunately, I went to Brogdon, and obviously we did not know this news, but the partial tear in his tendon in his right arm is really messing with him, because he only played 17 minutes, could not hit a shot, 1 of 5 once again. Was very, very bad. Only played 17 minutes. Or I think it technically was his worst game of the season. So that was very unfortunate there, because he was a very, very solid player. Only 12% owned. So Epsa got screwed there. The faders got bailed out, but it's looking like his arm is really, really hurting him. So, but yeah, if I would have switched him out with Grant Williams and then if I would have switched him out for Derek White and paid up for Grant Williams there, I would have had all 6 of the correct plays, would have had the optimal lineup, and probably would have had a takedown here. But yeah, the captain plays and the core plays overall, the past week and a half have been fantastic. I mean, we've had a few times where it's like we've gotten one player away from being the optimal lineup. So looking to continue that into tonight, and hopefully get the takedown tonight. So that'd be sweet here if me or one of you guys took down this 150K to first. So we'll try to do that for today. And starting off with this game here, Boston versus Miami, 8-point spread, favorite to Boston. It is at TD Garden in Boston, so home game for Boston. So there is a chance that this game does blow out. Obviously, we haven't seen that yet, but you would think Boston is the way better team. Obviously, they have not been playing like that. They do have some guys injured, so it's been close games. Obviously, Miami's won 3 out of the past 4. Boston finally won their last game. But yeah, I don't know. I get that feeling where this game could be a blowout. I know I've said that once or twice before, but I don't know. I'm just getting that feeling. I think a lot of people on Twitter are getting that feeling as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully this game is close. But starting off here with this Miami side, we'll go over the utility price tags. Jimmy, I think, is one of those things where it's very hard to fade Jimmy, just because he's a huge part of this team, huge part of this offense, huge part of this defense. He is literally the entire team. He'll be playing about 42 minutes, maybe even 43. Had kind of a letdown game, which is wild, because he still went for 51 fantasy points and 29 points, but 9 to 21, didn't do too much there in the second half. Just really wasn't great at all in the second half. Neither was the entire team. They were just all pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, it's really, really hard not to like Jimmy there at 13,000. I think Bam makes for a very interesting contrarian play. Coming off of 2 very bad games. One of them, the 2 games ago, was because they blew out Boston, so he did not need to do much. The entire team stepped up, so he only had to play 26 minutes. It was very efficient. Once again, didn't have to do much. But this last game, only shot the ball 7 times in a pretty close game there until the last probably 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. But yeah, he was just very non-aggressive, not involved at all. Dealt with a little bit of foul trouble, but yeah, it was very interesting to see. So I do think Bam is a very contrarian, very, I guess, slightly risky, but a contrarian option that should have a very solid ceiling, because we saw him almost go for a triple-double in game 3 there, in game 2 in Boston. So we know he has huge upside. So if he's going to have, pretty low ownership, I do really like going to Bam there. He should be a lot more aggressive today. Hopefully, you would expect Spoelstra to get him a lot more involved in the offense today, because they really need him to try to get Al Horford in foul trouble, get Robert Williams out there, and they can really attack Robert Williams. So that is hopefully the game plan for the Heat. So I do really like Bam there. Even though his price tag is a little bit pricey, I think he's a very contrarian option there. Caleb Martin, I think, is a safe play. Doesn't have like a huge ceiling unless he's scoring out of his mind, but he should see another mid to low 30s minutes in this game tonight. I don't know if we can expect him to keep shooting like 45% from three, but he can get layups, he can get steals, blocks, assists, rebounds, all that stuff. So I think he's a safe play there. Not going out of my way to play him, but I think he's definitely a fine option. Gabe Vincent, it'll be interesting to see what happens here with his ownership. He did hurt his ankle. He did come back and play, but it looks like it was hurting him a good amount. So hopefully he starts tonight. If he doesn't, I would assume they start Kyle Lowry, and they're going to have to run a very tight rotation. I don't think they'd bring anyone else off the bench in. So yeah, we'd expect just even more minutes for the starters and a guy like Kyle Lowry. But if Gabe Vincent does play, I think he's a very solid option, 5,800. If he stays out of foul trouble and he's hitting his shots, like he will see mid 30s minutes, and he does have solid upside. So I think once again he's a decent play there. Kyle Lowry, I absolutely love Kyle Lowry tonight. Got us there last game, even with going 2 of 8 from the field, just because he's solid at rebounding, solid at getting assists. He's really good at getting steals as well. And it really just comes down to, can he hit his shots? If he can, he should be able to go for 25, 30 plus fantasy points. So I do really like him. I do think he could be a very sneaky captain play for tonight, just because like if he hits his shots and he has a game like this where he goes for like 37.5 fantasy points, it could really open up your lineup if he's your captain. So I think it's a very sneaky captain play for tonight, but I do really like him in the utility spot there. Who else we had here? Strus and Robinson are kind of the same place for me. Strus obviously will get the bulk of the minutes. It's just, can he hit the shots? If he can hit the shots, he should see high 20s, maybe even to mid 30s minutes. But if he's not hitting the shots, then they'll kind of limit him. And he's very, very score independent. Usually, like in the previous season, and then even at the start of the season, he was solid at getting the peripheral stats. Now he's just not really getting them. So if he's not hitting the shots, he just doesn't really help you out at all at 5,400. He's just more of a contrarian option there. Same thing with Duncan. Comes off the bench. Really need him to hit his shots. If not going to do much for you. Kevin Love, if you're making a ton of lineups, I'd say you can sprinkle him in a few. But he's pretty much just limited to about 16 minutes. Not the best matchup here against the Celtics for him. So he starts the game, plays about till about like the 5-minute mark, does not play in the second quarter, and then starts the third quarter, plays to about the 5-minute mark, and then does not play the rest of the game. So he only has 2 shifts. He can definitely go off for like 20 fantasy points in those 2 shifts, but if you're making one lineup, I'd definitely avoid him. And then Cody Zeller should play about 8 to 12 minutes. I guess you can land on him if you want some salary relief, but don't really love that, especially if you're only a one lineup person. Moving on to Boston. Once again, really like Boston, really like Tatum. He was great for us last game. Expecting more of the same here from him. Really going to step up. So I think he's a great option there. Jaylen Brown, kind of like a Bam play. Really like him as like contrarian plays, especially if the only issue though with Jaylen Brown compared to Bam is Jaylen Brown probably is injured. It looked like he definitely hyperextended his left arm. I think it was in game 1. As you can tell, he just can't really shoot the ball. They haven't said anything about it. Kind of like they really haven't said anything about the Brogdon injury till now. So, I mean, look at his box score. 38, 25, 21, 32. He's 9,800. I think if he's, decently low owned or pretty low owned, it would probably be a smart play to, play Jaylen Brown, even though there's a chance that this injury is really affecting the shooting just because of that low ownership. So you could have to go to Jaylen Brown. He's very, very intriguing right now. Just based on his price tag, just based on people probably going to glaze over him just because of that price tag. They're going to want to rather play these mid-range guys, which makes sense. But if you're getting Jaylen Brown at very, very low ownership, like 25%, 20% or less, I'd really like Jaylen Brown. Smart, safe option here. He can easily get you there even when he's not hitting the shots. Should see low to mid 30s minutes. I think he's a solid play. I like Horford a good amount. Would have saw more minutes, but he was pretty efficient in 25 minutes. Lost a few minutes because of the blowout, as well as he was in foul trouble. So he was probably on pace to see his normal like 32-ish minutes. And we know he's solid upside there. Can get rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, can score as well. So I do like Al Horford there in the mid-range. Brogdon did not reward me last slate for 10% ownership. But yeah, it's looking like that tendon tear in his right arm is really affecting his shooting. 0-6 and then 1-5. Minutes are completely down. They're closing with Grant Williams and Derek White over him. So he's a very, very risky option just because it does look like that injury is affecting him. Now, could he come out and hit a few shots even with that injury, and then play his normal mid-20s minutes, and they finish with him instead of like a Derek White or Grant Williams? That could definitely happen. So if he's coming at super, super low ownership like he was last slate, if you're making one lineup, I'd probably avoid him. But if you're making a multiple, I'd definitely have him in one or two of them. And then obviously, if you're playing 150, I'd have him in a good amount, just because there is still that chance that he goes out there and plays mid 20 minutes, and it's 6,200. If he's coming in at like 5 to 10% ownership, that could really, really help you out, especially with Derek White most likely to be mega chalk and Grant Williams. That definitely allow you to get different there if you go to Malcolm Brogdon. So Derek White going to be a safe option here. You would assume Brogdon is going to struggle again. Well, obviously, you can't assume that, but you'd think with that tear, it's kind of affecting his shot. That's why his minutes are down, Mike. That's why he can't hit his shots. And that's why they're going with Derek White. So I think Derek White's a safe play, but there's always that chance that Brogdon does do well off the bench and they run with him instead of White or him instead of Grant Williams. But Robert Williams there, price tag, just more of a contrarian play. Don't love him. Not really seeing a ton of minutes right now. Not the best matchup for him. And then Grant Williams probably going to be mega chalk along with Derek White, just because he's seen solid minutes. He's been producing pretty solidly. I will say there are times though where Grant Williams can definitely play mid 20s minutes and not do much. Like here, 23 minutes, 0-3, 10.5 fantasy points. 29 minutes here, only 18 fantasy points. 23, 14, 29, or excuse me, 26, points. Excuse me, I can't talk. 26 minutes here, 8 fantasy points. So there is that chance that even though he's very cheap and allows you to fit in, star players, that he does not have a good game. So yeah, you can make the reason to fade him, but I think right now he's just a very safe play there at that price tag and his expected minutes. So that is it for the player-by-player breakdown. In terms of favorite captain play, I think right now Tatum is obviously the safer captain play compared to Jimmy, but I do think I'm going to go to Jimmy just because I really expect him to come out very, very aggressive here. Way more aggressive than we've probably seen in the playoffs so far, because I do really think that he wants to close out the series right now. Kind of let the foot off the gas in that last game there. So I'm expecting Jimmy to come out very, very aggressive. Love Kyle Lowry in the spot there. Once again, I do think he could be a very sneaky captain play. Al Horford, very strong mid-range play. And then you're going to want to get to at least, I'd say, one of Grant Williams or Derek White. Now, I did say, Brogdon could be a very solid pivot play. I do like Gabe Vincent, so not really 100% sure right now. I will have my updated core plays on my Patreon later today. But as of right now, we'll just throw in Grant Williams, and then obviously it allows you to have 8,000 left over where you can pay for two mid-range guys. You can pay up for one of the stars of like Jaylen Brown, Bam, Tatum. It's kind of up to you, but yeah, right now this is the early core plays: Jimmy Captain, Kyle Lowry, Al Horford, Grant Williams, and I will keep you guys updated on my Patreon link down below with what I end up going with for tonight, as well as extra PrizePicks plays. So hit that like button and subscribe. Do appreciate all the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.